Good afternoon, live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar calls for diversification of India-Russia trade. Speaking at Business Forum in Moscow, says trade between the two nations has grown in recent year, but so too the trade deficit. Last day of the monsoon session of Indian Parliament today, Home Minister moves 3 key bills to the Joint Committee, which aim to bring accountability into politics. Ramping up pressure on US Central Bank, Trump calls for Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook to step down. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Russia's First Deputy Prime Minister Denis Manturov attended the India-Russia Business Forum in Moscow. Minister Jaishankar appreciated the assessments and reports of various sectoral leaders regarding the deeper potential of the economic ties between the two countries. He reiterated that an enduring strategic partnership must have a strong and sustainable economic component. And in this context, the minister called on businesses of both sides to do more trade, contemplate more investments and joint ventures, and open new frontiers of economic cooperation.
In the last few years, we have experienced the impact of the COVID pandemic, of conflicts, of political and economic shifts, of new technologies, and also of trade volatility. Each was unique in itself, but together they hold some common lessons. One is the importance of dependable and steady partners. Another is the value of shorter and more secure supply chains. A third is the concern about over-dependence on a limited number of markets. A fourth are the vulnerabilities of being overexposed to a few suppliers. A fifth is the reliance on narrow connectivity and limited logistics, and perhaps most of all, the cost of insufficiently searching for new opportunities, partnerships, and domains.
Earlier, Minister Jaishankar addressed the 26th session of India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Trade, Economic, Scientific, Technical and Cultural Cooperation in Moscow. He stressed that India-Russia bilateral trade has grown rapidly over the last 4 years, however, highlighted the major trade imbalances that has accompanied this growth. Dr. Jaishankar said that while bilateral trade in goods has increased more than 5-fold, major trade imbalance that has accompanied the growth has increased about 9 times.
Over the last 4 years, Excellency, our bilateral trade in goods has increased, as you have noted, from more 5-fold, from $13 billion in 2021 to $68 billion in 24-25, and it continues to grow. A major trade balance has accompanied the growth. It has increased from 6.6 billion to 58.9 billion, which is about 9 times.
Another major development that came from Moscow on Wednesday was India and Eurasian Economic Union signing terms of reference in Moscow to launch negotiations on a free trade agreement. The Economic Union of 5 post-Soviet states located in Eurasia, including Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz Republic and the Russian Federation. The terms of reference were signed by an additional secretary in India's Department of Commerce and Deputy Director of Eurasian Economic Commission's Trade Policy Department. Earlier, the additional secretary, Ajay Badu, called on the minister in charge of trade, Andrei Slepinev. Both sides noted the growing trade turnover between India and the EAEU, which stood at $69 billion last year, registering a 7% increase over 2023. With a combined GDP of $6.5 trillion, the proposed FTA is expected to expand market access for Indian exporters, support diversification into new sectors, geographies, enhance competitiveness against non-market economies, and deliver significant benefits to micro, small, and medium enterprises. India has condemned Nepal's remarks on resumption of trade between India and China through the Lipo Lake Pass, saying that such claims are unjustified and not based on historical facts and evidence. The Ministry of External Affairs, in a response to media queries, said, and I quote, "Our position in this regard has been consistent and clear. Border trade between India and China through Lipo Lake Pass had commenced in 1954 and has been going on for decades. This trade had been disrupted in recent years due to COVID and other developments, and both sides have now agreed to resume it. As regards territorial claims, our position remains that such claims are neither justified nor based on historical facts and evidence. Any unilateral artificial enlargement of territorial claims is untenable. India remains open to constructive interaction with Nepal on resolving agreed outstanding boundary issues through dialogue and diplomacy." The India opposition bloc vice presidential candidate, Justice Retired B. Sudarshan Reddy, has filed his nomination papers today. Former Supreme Court judge started his career as an advocate in 1971, went on to practice in Andhra Pradesh High Court. He was appointed as High Court judge in 1995 and then became the Chief Justice of Guwahati High Court in 2005. The eminent jurist was appointed a Supreme Court judge in January of 2007 and retired in July 2011. Thereafter, he also served as Goa's first Lokayukta. He will run against National Democratic Alliance NDA candidate C.P. Radhakrishnan in the September 9th elections. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting Bihar and West Bengal on Friday. During his visit to Bihar, Prime Minister will inaugurate key development projects including the Anta-Semaria Bridge project, 8.15 kilometers long bridge on NH31. It includes 1.86 kilometers long 6-lane bridge over River Ganga, constructed at a cost of over 1,800 crore rupees. The bridge will provide direct connectivity between Mokama in Patna and Begusarai. The new bridge will reduce this extra travel distance of more than 100 kilometers for heavy vehicles traveling between North and South Bihar areas. The bridge will boost economic growth in adjoining areas, especially in North Bihar, which are dependent on South Bihar and Jharkhand for getting necessary raw materials. The Northeast is witnessing a new dawn of connectivity and development. Under leadership of Prime Minister Modi, Indian Railways has turned the long-cherished dream of Mizoram into reality. Let's take a look at our correspondent Nandini Shakuntala's report on this achievement. The northeast of India, a land of breathtaking beauty, vibrant culture, and untapped potential. For decades, Mizoram dreamt of being connected more closely with the heart of India. In 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi laid the foundation stone of a vision that connectivity would unlock prosperity for the northeast. That dream stands transformed into reality. The first trial run of the 51.38 kilometers long Bairabi-Sairang railway line in Mizoram was successful on May 1st, 2025.
This railway project is a 51.38 kilometer Bairabi to Sairang railway project. So it consists of 5 railway stations, 48 tunnels and more than 100 bridges. But especially this project is not just a railway line, it is the fulfillment of the hopes and aspirations of the people of Mizoram.
The pride of this project is bridge number 196, rising 114 meters above the valley floor. It stands taller than Delhi's Qutub Minar by 42 meters.
It is located in such a place, there is no connectivity. Very difficult to bring all the materials from different parts of the country here. So the engineers, they had to build an entire road from the hills down to the valley, and then they had to begin the construction. And constructing a 114-meter pier in this kind of location is very difficult.
These tunnels are not mere passages of concrete. They are adorned with motifs of Mizo culture, blending engineering with heritage. Every journey here becomes a celebration of tradition and progress. Traders and small businesses find new opportunities. Tourism and cultural exchange receive a fresh boost.
For this railway line, Mizo people will be the main beneficiaries because this railway line will be connected to every part of India.
Prime Minister Modi's message has been constant and clear. Connectivity will transform the Northeast. From laying the foundation stone to inaugurating new services, his leadership has carried Mizoram's railway dream from promise to reality. With inputs from Nandini Shakuntala, Bureau Report, DD India. In another significant step towards enhancing transparency, competition and self-reliance in India's coal sector, Ministry of Coal will launch the 13th round of commercial coal mine auctions today in New Delhi. The development assumes significance as the government seeks to ramp up coal production and ensure sufficient supply of the dry fuel to meet the growing energy requirements of the country. The auction has witnessed robust participation from both established and new industry players in every round. Mines are on offer on most liberal terms, promoting ease of doing business and attracting investments from a diverse set of stakeholders. Launched in 2020 under leadership of Prime Minister Modi, commercial auction framework has transformed the coal sector by fostering transparency, driving competition and increasing coal availability for domestic industries, thereby reducing dependence on imports. Some weather updates. After days of being battered by heavy rains that triggered waterlogging, traffic and air rail disruptions, in a likely relief for Mumbaikars, the India Met Department has said that rain intensity is expected to reduce in Mumbai from today. However, the Weather Department has issued a yellow alert for Mumbai, predicting heavy rains in some isolated places. The Met Department has also issued a red color warning for extremely heavy rains over Karnataka, Gujarat, Konkan and Goa. The weather agency has also forecast heavy to very heavy rains over Chhattisgarh, Kerala and Telangana. IMD further said that heavy rains are expected to prevail over northeast India, including coastal Andhra Pradesh, East Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh and Gilgit-Baltistan, Muzaffarabad. IMD highlighted that monsoon is likely to be in an active phase over South Peninsula and adjoining central India during the next 3 to 4 days. Moving on, the annual Kailash Yatra has commenced in Jammu and Kashmir's Bhadarwah with spiritual fervour and heightened safety measures. Limited participation was allowed this year as precaution following recent cloudbursts and inclement weather. Medical teams, tents, firewood, security personnel have been deployed along the route to support pilgrims. The pilgrimage, devoted to local deity Vasuki Nag, involves a trek to Kailash Kund, a lake located at an altitude of over 14,000 feet. Still to come on this edition of TT India Live. Israel advances plan to seize Gaza city, calls up tens and thousands of reservists while government considers new ceasefire proposal. ASEAN observers inspect Cambodian temple along Thai border amid ceasefire. And Santa Teresa transformed into open-air gallery as Urban Art Festival brought hues of colour to Rio.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
I'm on a quest to explore the history of Goa. A land steeped in diverse and intersecting cultures and traditions.
I think this is one of my favorite pieces of art in the city.
Here, influences from multiple faiths coalesce in beautiful ways. From religious sites to charming villages and vibrant streets. Watch postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Moving on to West Asia, Israel's military took its first steps of an operation to take over Gaza City. Israel called up tens of thousands of army reservists and is pressing ahead with its plan to seize Gaza's biggest urban center. It currently holds about 75% of the Gaza Strip. Earlier, Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, approved this military plan, piling pressure on Hamas as mediators push for a ceasefire. Hamas had accepted the latest proposal from mediators for a ceasefire. Israel's security cabinet, chaired by Netanyahu, approved the plan to take over Gaza City in early August. The framework that Hamas had approved proposes an initial 60-day truce, a staggered hostage release, the freeing of some Palestinian prisoners, and provisions allowing for the entry of aid into Gaza. And Israel also approved a major settlement project on Wednesday in an area of West Bank that the international community has warned threatens the viability of a future Palestinian state. Israel aims to build on a roughly 12 square kilometers parcel known as E1 just east of Jerusalem, but the plan had been stalled for years amid international opposition. The latest announcement also drew condemnation, with UN Chief Antonio Guterres saying the settlement would effectively cleave the West Bank into two and pose an existential threat to a contiguous Palestinian state. News just coming in from India's parliament. The lower house, or the Lok Sabha, has been adjourned sine die today, the conclusion of the monsoon session. Meanwhile, the Rajya Sabha was also adjourned until 2 p.m. That's the news just coming in. The monsoon session for Lok Sabha adjourned sine die, and the upper house Rajya Sabha has been adjourned till 2 p.m. this afternoon. Our correspondent Dibyendu Mondal gets us more from the parliament. Dibyendu, take us through the highlights of the day. Lok Sabha adjourned sine die.
Well, Shubhendu, as we were discussing in the morning, this morning as well, it was, pretty clear that the Lok Sabha would not be functioning because of the continuous protest by the opposition parties on the floor of the House. From the beginning of this monsoon session, we have seen that the opposition continued to protest on the floor of the House, in fact in both the Houses of Parliament, including Lok Sabha as well as the Rajya Sabha. But even today when the Speaker was trying to, tell the opposition leaders to get back to their seats and, and help the House function, because as per the legislative business listed for today, an important discussion on the issue of India's space sector was supposed to take place, and this debate was being tried by the government to happen since Monday. But despite the chair's request, the opposition continued their protest, and the Speaker had to adjourn the House sine die, and sine die means that till the next time. So whenever the next Parliament session will be convened by the government and through the approval of the President, which is the winter session of Parliament now, the Parliament would resume. But as far as the Rajya Sabha is concerned, the Rajya Sabha has been adjourned till 2 p.m. and it is expected that post 2 p.m. Union Home Minister Amit Shah would move the 130th Constitutional Amendment Bill, in fact not move but place forward to the Rajya Sabha for referring it to the Joint Parliamentary Committee, as it was done yesterday in the lower house. So now it will be referred through the Rajya Sabha to the Joint Parliamentary Committee, because 10 members from the Rajya Sabha needs to be nominated by the chairman / vice chairman at the moment. So therefore, the Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha perhaps would also be adjourned sine die, because the protest continues even in the upper house of the Parliament once the Home Minister Amit Shah refers the bill to JPC this afternoon.
Shivendu, appreciate you joining us with those updates from the Parliament. The US and Venezuela appear to be heading towards a standoff, with neither country indicating willingness to back down. US is deploying 3 warships off the coast of Venezuela as part of efforts to curb drug trafficking. The deployment comes as Trump administration steps up pressure on Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro, doubling its bounty to $50 million earlier this month on drug charges. The 3 Aegis-class guided missile destroyers are heading to the waters of Venezuela. US media reported Washington was also planning to send some 4,000 Marines to the region. Washington, which does not recognize Maduro's past 2 election victories, accuse him of leading the cartel, the Soles, or the Cartel of the Suns cocaine trafficking gang. Meanwhile, Venezuela's Maduro has slammed US military deployment in the Caribbean as threat to regional peace and violation of international law. Speaking at a summit, Maduro accused the US of using anti-drug operations as a pretext for intervention and falsely linking Venezuela to terrorism. The summit, with regional leaders in attendance, issued a joint statement rejecting the American military presence and calling for respect for sovereignty. Maduro demanded an immediate end to military threats and adherence to the UN Charter. On to Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Russia has said that it had to be part of any discussion on security guarantees for Ukraine and downplayed the likelihood of an imminent summit with President Volodymyr Zelensky, tempering hopes for a quick peace deal. NATO military chiefs, meanwhile, held a virtual summit on security guarantees for Ukraine. The latest is a flurry of global diplomacy aimed at brokering an end to the nearly 3.5-year-long conflict. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov earlier warned that seriously discussing security guarantees without the Russian Federation is a utopia, a road to nowhere. Russia's long-serving foreign minister downplayed the meeting of EU leaders in Washington, D.C., describing it as a clumsy attempt to change the US president's position on Ukraine. While Trump said Putin had agreed to meet Zelensky and accept some Western security guarantees for Ukraine, Russia has not confirmed this. Lavrov also cast doubt on imminent meeting between Putin and Zelensky.
In any case, as I've already said, we are ready for any possible formats. But when it comes to high-level meetings, they must be prepared in the most meticulous way at every stage beforehand, so that the summits do not result in a deterioration of the situation, but actually put an end to those negotiations that we are ready to continue.
In other news, observers from ASEAN regional bloc on Wednesday inspected a temple along Cambodia's northern border with Thailand to ensure that the report on the stability of a ceasefire between the two countries. The delegates from the ASEAN Interim Observer Team, led by Malaysian Defence Attaché to Cambodia, Colonel Nazli bin Abdul Rahim, were led around the temple by Cambodian military personnel to inspect various sites that had been damaged in the violent 5-day conflict that ended in a ceasefire late in July. Cambodia and Thailand's top defense officials earlier this month agreed to allow observers to inspect disputed border areas and help ensure that hostilities do not resume. US President Trump on Wednesday called on Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook to resign, intensifying his effort to gain influence over the central bank. Trump's latest remarks aimed at reshaping the makeup of the US Central Bank, a body designed to set benchmark interest rates independent of White House influence. US Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Fulte alleged in a post on X earlier on Wednesday that Cook had designated a condo in Atlanta as her primary residence after taking a loan on her home in Michigan. Asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate, and Trump quickly amplified the allegations. Rio de Janeiro's historic Santa Teresa neighborhood has burst into color as over 50 artists turn its walls into canvases during the second edition of the Urban Art Festival. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen and download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.